Greetings, and welcome to another lesson from the members of Ashtar Command on Base, channeled by Mark Crocker, with this one taking place in 1999. My name is Russ Hatfield, and behind my shoulder is Kara, my twin soul and higher dimensional member of Ashtar Command on Base. In this lesson, Omal talks about finding what makes you happy and working with that so when things go bad, you can still stay positive. We look at conditions where someone knows only happiness or just sadness, but is determined in the end that you don't actually have to know both. You can follow our online transcript at the link below at our homepage, centerforascension.org, and if you wish, please subscribe at the end of this video to be alerted to future lessons from the Center for Ascension. So now, we present Omal and staying positive in bad times.
Greetings and felicitations. Greetings, Skip. Greetings, Russ. And how is everyone functioning?
Excellent.
That is good. Congratulations, Skip.
No, thank you. Appreciate it.
You are welcome. And how does it feel to be no longer a single man?
Very, very nice.
That is good. Okay, let me continue with Kiri's comments. And Russ, you were going to pick up on the contradiction. I was going to bring that up, but it is not necessary. What Kiri has decided to open up is an interesting learning experience, which is something that unfortunately is frequently neglected, is the happiness of oneself with oneself. The understanding that to be in harmony with yourself means that you are in harmony with everything. And Kiri has somewhat jumped around the edges of dealing with focusing in on achieving that happiness first before expanding out. And it is not a long, drawn-out, protracted, self-defeating purpose, but the purpose that you focus within yourself so that you can become contented with who you are. And it is a short process that first of all you have to accept who you are, not, as Kiri put it, some idealized version of some movie star. It is important to be contented with what you are given, what you start off like. And your body constantly changes as it progresses through its natural evolutionary cycle to a better condition, to the point where you now have the abilities to develop yourself in happiness, being who you are. And in doing so, you achieve the harmony around you. You become more contactable by others, other creatures of your planet, other spiritual entities, which brings you up higher, which in turn increases your happiness. And you feel happier, you transmit that happiness, and in turn it is returned to you again with a higher level of happiness. So to be unhappy with who you are means that you have less of that happiness, and people do not reflect it back at you, which does not increase itself. So you stay at that level where you are not neither regressing or advancing. You stay an unhappy individual. But as soon as you start to smile and are happy and contented with who you are, that is reflected to other people, who in turn reflect it back amplified. And you in turn feel more happiness and reflect it out even more. And so on, in an escalating pattern, which continually gets better. Of course, there are moments where you have to deal with negative situations, but if you maintain that happy external experience, then you do not subtract from it when you have to deal with negative or depressing or harmful situations. Okay, do we have questions? Well, okay, let us start with Skip. And we will go back and forwards if you have some questions, Skip.
Well, guess I've operated my whole life under the positive aspect of it, which made me feel more appreciated because I respect other people because I respect myself. And like you say, it reflects back to you more than twofold. Whatever you give out, you always get back.
That is correct.
And I tried to teach my grandson this. He's slowly getting the lesson. But he's a young man and he's growing. You know, it just takes time.
What, did you pick it up to start off with as quickly as you do now?
No.
So you have to remember.
Well, I have a little comment that I always tell the kids. When I was 15, my dad was the dumbest individual I'd ever met in my life. By the time I turned 21, he was pretty smart. In other words, I was pretty stupid. I knew everything at 15.
That is correct.
And by the time I got to 21, I realized that, hey, I wasn't that smart. My dad was that smart. And I try to instill this in young people. And they're slowly learning.
It is something that takes time.
Yeah.
But all beings go through that learning phase, whether it is over many years or a few days.
Yeah.
All beings go through that learning experience to accept that we do not know everything.
Yeah.
I do not know everything. I am not some super intelligent, pan-dimensional being. I'm certainly a pan-dimensional being, but I'm not super intelligent. Not by those that are my idols, the people that I look up to. They are far more intelligent than I am. It is like comparing yourself to the feline. You are far more intelligent than the average feline. But there again, there are people that are more intelligent than you. To come to that balance and accepting, as Kiri puts it, who you are is very important. And once you accept that, then you can help others by aiding them in your learning process, by saying, this is what I've learned. Dealing with the younger people of your species, they seem to forget that you were once their age too.
Yeah.
It may have been some time ago, but the things that they think, you think, or thought, the way that they behave, you behave. To quote one of your famous sayings, as I am now, so you shall be. And that is something that they do not understand, that you were once just as young, just as foolish, just as smart, just as witty, just as mischievous as they are now. Certainly the tools around them are different than from earlier times. But the physical experiences do not change. Okay, let us go to Russ's question.
Okay. I don't really have all that thing. But the one thing I do have is that when we're growing up, we have around us so many examples of other people's happiness, other people's sadness and tragedies. And we always want to emulate or reach those persons who have the happiness and usually trying to follow their examples that they went through in the hopes that that was the secret that led to their happiness, and maybe it'll bring us some too. So sometimes that means getting as much money as you can, or getting the best job, or the best wife, or the best car, whatever that made those people happy is what you think will make you happy. And, then you look at people who live in monasteries or communes and things who have nothing, and yet they're very happy. And it's like, well, which way do I go? Do I have nothing and try to go that way and try to live in a commune and see if I'm happy there? Or do I go become rich and see if I have all my problems taken away because I don't have to worry about money anymore? And it creates a lot of conflicts, I think, in people as they grow up and try to decide which way to become happy, when actually it is really all in themselves to find that. But there's the question. How do they actually focus in on what will make them happy without actually having to go through these other experiences to do so?
Unfortunately, it is trial and error. I cannot give you a set pattern, because one size does not fit all. I can say, for me, I did this, I did that, it brought me happiness, but it may not work for either.
Definitely want to work for either of us.
I've done the same. I've done the exact same thing.
You have to find what it is that makes you happy. Is it helping people? Is it struggling? Is it a combination of the two? Is it something else? Is it creating something with your hands? Is it talking? Is it sitting down and dwelling deep within? Is it all of those? Is it none of those? First of all, you have to look within yourself before you can look without. And the answers are normally very close to the surface that you can find readily and quickly. To understand that you have to be self-reliant is the next step. Nobody can make you happy. You first have to make yourself happy. As Kiri said, first use the brain before you learn other things. You have to think before you do anything. What brings happiness? What makes you contented? Having achieved that, then you can go out and be a happy maker, making other people happy, so that it reflects back on yourself, and in turn you give more so that they give more back, and so on. It is like depositing money in a bank account. The more that you put in, the more that you get back. But it is not one thing, it is many things. One size does not fit all. Okay, next question, please. Okay, let us deal to Mr. 11 questions left.
No, actually, I have a two-parter though.
Okay.
When you are to experience happiness, you actually have to go out and you have to experience sadness and troubles and things that make you really depressed in your life to really understand the opposite of that as being happy. With that, you have to, I guess, come to the realization at some point in life that all of that was some kind of a lesson that helped you grow into being happy. I myself have gone through many experiences where the pits of despair, but now I can just look back on them as just, well, that was a great lesson to go through. But when you're in the middle of those pits of despair, there's nothing that you think will ever bring you back up again. And it's really kind of, where do you find that single ray of hope in that pit of despair? A lot of people find it in religion. A lot of people find it in just little things. But I know nothing is all one thing for everyone.
Mm-hmm.
But is there something like an idea that could be brought out to help in that point?
Yes, one very simple one. Planning on how to get out of that thing. If you do this, that will happen. So you have to plan moment by moment on your improvements. But it is a misconception that you seem to be very well unknowing of, that you have to have the negative to experience the positive. You do not. If you have negative experiences, it makes the happy moments more enjoyable. But if you never have the negative moments, you're constantly happy. You never know what it is to experience pain, suffering, or, as we put it, the depths of despair. Those are unknown to you. So it is a misconception to say that you have to have both. You do not have to have both. And the reason is, and a very simple reason, is why? You don't need despair to appreciate happiness. You know happiness for what it is. It makes you feel good. It makes you feel well. But you do have to have happiness to understand and appreciate and find the struggle in despair, because without it, you do not know any different. If you're constantly in an environment where it is despair, 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 depressed, 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 and you have never experienced happiness, that is all you know. Happiness is unknown to you, as is the same with being constantly happy. Despair and depression is never known to you. So to say that you have to have one to experience the other is wrong. But it becomes known that despair is a bad place when you experience happiness. But if you have experienced just happiness, despair is unknown to you. You understand? Okay, second part, please.
Okay. When you have this despair or the happiness, isn't it something like a drug? Kind of like a need to have that happiness, to be constantly happy, because happiness does make you healthier and despair makes you sicker.
I refer you to the question to the answer I gave 2 moments ago. You do not know better if you have never experienced one or the other.
I think we all put ourselves in a position of despair or depression or whatever, and then work our way out of it. I really believe that.
It is for a reason that when you do that for a reason. That if you've never experienced one or the other, you do not know better, or you do not know worse. If despair is a constant situation that you experience continually, then how do you know what happiness is?
Well, it's vice versa.
Right.
I think we do that to ourselves. I really believe we do.
You could be right. You'd be very right. Okay, next question, please.
Well,
That is it.
That's it. Thank you very much.
I despair sometimes.
Thanks.
In the 3.5 weeks that we have had, I have been studying your humor.
well, you're doing quite better.
Thank you.
Supposed to the first attempt.
I have had some dismal failures that were so depressing. But now it is something I hope to be able to inflect a little bit better into a more humorous environment. I've always stated using humor is a very useful language, always. And I will repeat my phrase from some time ago that you remember the lessons more easily if they're humorous. That was a long time ago. Long time ago?
Yeah.
Maybe to you it was. A blinking of the eye.
Yeah, right. But you are correct.
Mm-hmm. Okay. As you do not have any more questions, I will say live long, prosper, and I'll be back.
Thanks.
Thank you, Mark.